The data breach at TransUnion has taken another dramatic turn, with an organization that has claimed responsibility for the attack now threatening to leak the data of President Cyril Ramaphosa and EFF leader Julius Malema. That's unless it is paid a multi-million-dollar ransom. Now, this is all according to a report by My Broadband. The group, they say, has claimed to be based in Brazil. Let's talk about the situation now and these latest developments. We're joined by Wide Worx data analyst Bryan Turner. Bryan, a very good afternoon to you, and thank you so much for your patience as we dealt with that bit of developing news. So, My Broadband reporting that these hackers are now threatening to leak personal information of the leaders of the ANC and the EFF. How seriously should we be taking that threat?
Thank you for having me on the show. The deadline for the ransom was last Friday, the 25th of March. And now there are details being published in private chats with publications like My Broadband that allegedly have details like President Cyril Ramaphosa's details, even TransUnion Africa's CEO Lee Naik's personal details, and even that of the information regulator herself. So it seems quite serious at this point in time, but also that information does need to be verified, and we just need to make sure that everything that all of this is truthful and not just random numbers being pumped out.
And do we know, Bryan, what kind of information is now circulating?
So right now, from the breach that we know, it is ID numbers, potentially home addresses, definitely first names and last names, potentially contact details, and potentially credit scores. Why I say potentially is because there are the actual set hasn't been seen by the public just yet.
And to my mind, when you talk about people's personal addresses floating about, that immediately raises a security concern. What else could happen if this sort of information ends up in the wrong hands?
At this point in time, the strategy, we have to look at the strategy of what will happen with this data, because the cyber hacking group thought that they were going to get paid out by TransUnion, and that didn't happen. So their next biggest bet is to sell this to marketers, because marketers will pay a pretty sum to know exactly who lives where, what car people drive, what bank they bank with, so on and so forth. So it won't necessarily be leaked to the public, but it will definitely be leaked to other shadier organizations that are willing to buy the set.
So what you're saying also raises then serious questions about the marketers and that industry and how it conducts itself as far as ethics and acquiring our information ethically. How rampant would that sort of thing be, where they acquire our information through dodgy means?
Well, that already happened in late 2020 with Experian. The Experian leak was an internal leak, which found someone on the inside, an employee of Experian, had been handing over marketing details to another marketing company. So it's not too uncommon to hear about this type of method of cyber breaching.
And the refusal by TransUnion to pay a ransom, do you think that would have made any difference had they paid, say, almost a week and a half ago when this started?
I don't think it would have made too much of a difference, because you're going to have to rely on someone's word. And just looking at the pure ethics of the situation, supporting an industry like cybercrime by paying ransoms is ethically wrong, but also it's also ethically wrong to let this happen in the first place. So.
We laugh, but it's quite a serious matter. Many of us are wondering, because many people whose information is on the TransUnion database have received messages about what to do to boost security, right? But does a system actually exist that is completely foolproof from hacking?
No system exists like that, because as security solutions are made, more security holes are found. And there is a term called zero-day vulnerability, which means that only the person who found the vulnerability knows about it, and they're using it, and they haven't told anyone else. Several of those exist out and about. So when we look at a system like this, we just have to make sure that that the proper precautions were taken to prevent anything like any breaches like we've seen from happening. And the thing about this breach, what makes it very very interesting, is that the hackers said that they used brute force attempts to get in, and they found that the password was password, which is definitely not the right password to have used to protect 4 terabytes of user data.
So then, if that was the weakness, is there space here for people whose data is compromised and who can prove that their data was affected to demand some kind of accountability, hold TransUnion responsible, perhaps even legally, if it's found that the safety measures weren't as tight as one would have expected them to be?
Definitely. I think that the information regulator will be the first point of contact with TransUnion, and the information regulator and TransUnion are working together. But if the information regulator finds out that there wasn't proper safeguards put on the data, such as the password being password, then there will be serious fines that will affect the company. TransUnion denies that the password was password, so it's kind of all hearsay at this point in time.